Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps.
Justin? What are you doing here?
I ask myself that every week, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Ellie.
And we have a very special guest with us this week, filling in for Tyler, who is out partying in a different country somewhere.
Him?
Yeah, he's in, I don't think he's partying at NIMH. No, ain't nobody partying at NIMH.
No, not this one. Yeah.
We have a special guest, freelance music supervisor and friend, Nikki Carrillo, here with us.
Ooh, thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. Fan of the show.
Oh, well, thank you for listening. Before we get too far into things, Eliz, where can people reach out to us?
Yeah, email us at sequelrights@gmail.com or find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
That's right, and rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, wherever, honestly. Tweet about us, tell your friends. All of that love for the podcast goes a long way.
Yes.
Anything you can do to help to get the word out there is great. Awesome. So, today, here we are. We're doing a twofer. We're talking about Secret of Nimh 2, Timmy To The Rescue. Oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
Before we even do that, Nikki.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here, first of all. Now, one of the reasons we had you on is because you have a major love for the original film, right?
Yes. I literally probably watched it the same amount of times as I watched like Thumbelina, any of the other Don Bluth stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's great. Had you seen the sequel before? No. Well, you know what? Thanks. We're sorry, maybe? No.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. One thing I'll say about this film, if you want to enjoy it, you need to...
You've got to be ready mentally and physically. Ha ha!
You got to be ready mentally and physically. No, I'm kidding. Anyways.
Oh, boy.
Without further ado...
Nimh, here we come!
All right. Let's talk about this film. Oh, boy.
We have a little secret. What? The most fun-filled movie of the year is only on video. The Secret of Nimh 2, Timmy To The Rescue.
Awesome!
It's the story of a young mouse named Timmy.
That's my boy.
Who thought no one needed him.
Fire!
Until the mice of Thorn Valley...
We might be in real danger.
...needed someone brave to save the day.
We're on a mission.
We've got to save my parents.
Let's go!
It's a magical tale.
You've got to have the courage to follow your heart.
It's a musical adventure.
One day I will show the world I'm my father's son.
And most of all...
Hold on!
It's high-flying fun.
What a ride!
So share the secret with your whole family. Make the most of your life! The Secret of Nimh 2, Timmy To The Rescue. Available only on video.
Oh, boy.
Oh, my God.
I had to let the whole thing play because it's so crazy.
That's quite a claim.
The
most fun movie of 1998, where we also had, I just looked it up, Mulan, A Bug's Life, Quest for Camelot, Prince of Egypt, and Parent Trap.
I mean, were any of those movies really that fun?
I mean...
Mulan. I'm kidding. I'm joking. So fun. War is so fun.
Yeah. Boy.
Anyways, yeah. Direct to VHS. And
sounds about right.
How did you guys watch this movie? Because it's only available on I think I watched it on Tubi.
Oh, I watched it on Prime Video,
Yeah.
which has ads now because I haven't paid the $2.99.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Mine also had ads.
But it wasn't on Freevee. It was on Prime Video proper.
All I know is I hit play and it said it was only an hour and 8 minutes. And
Ooh.
I was like, oh boy, wow. All right.
Okay.
This will go by quick. Did it go by quick? I don't think so.
Very questionable.
Yeah. In fact, like even though the movie was that short, I had a long week and I almost fell asleep like 8 times.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I guess we should just say from the beginning that like it's all over the internet that Don Bluth like disavowed this movie and was like, "Don't make it." And then these guys, MGM, and these guys were like, "We're gonna make it anyway," and that's how we ended up with this.
Yeah, definitely a bastardized version of like what I think the original was.
Oh yeah.
Because, I mean, you have to disavow it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And if you didn't listen last week, I read the book Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. And I didn't get to read the sequel to that, but I read online that this movie has absolutely nothing to do with it. And they actually picked up more threads than I thought they would, like referencing things like from the first movie. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that they actually like remembered X, Y, and Z. But this doesn't really have any connection to it. And Nim is like completely different. Like in the first movie, we didn't see it that much. But as I told you in the book, it's just like a laboratory, and they never say like the scientists are evil or they're hurting us. They're basically just doing experiments on them, but it's like really not bad. The rats even admit like it was a fine life. We just didn't want to live in cages. Right. Whereas this one, it's like an evil like Frankenstein scientist guy that's
it's like the asylum out of like Malignant or something.
Yeah, or like American Horror Story or something like that.
I was about to say, you mean it wasn't set in Gotham? Like,
yeah. Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, this movie is basically like retcon the film, or ratcon, as I like to say for this one. It's funny, again from the very start, you're like, oh wow, we're just in great hands here. We get a full on like previously on Secret of Nimh,
right?
And also like, so they do the full like here's everything that happened. They did this, they did this, they did this, and then at the very end they're like, oh, and also Nicodemus made a prediction that Timmy was gonna have a destiny, and you're like, wait,
which is
what?
Totally made up. Like he never had that.
That didn't happen.
And like he's like dead. They kind of really glossed over the fact that he straight up got smushed by like a cinder block or whatever, a bunch of logs.
Yeah.
The first one. Yeah.
They don't really talk about that other than him just not being in the movie.
Yeah, and it's so funny because they have Peter McNichol from Ally McBeal do that narration voiceover, and so I just assumed like, well, that character must come back later in the movie, but it definitely did not.
It was really funny too because I was shocked that it was him because it just sounded honestly like they got some rando dude off the street.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Last time in The Secret of Nimh, they found out that the rats went to a place and got smart. That's pretty much what it sounded like.
It was so bizarre.
I was like, who recorded this?
I also think it was a bad setup because, and just for your guys' reference, I have a degree in media arts and animation, so watching this was a struggle.
Right.
Struggle.
We should talk about the quality of the animation.
Yeah, which
it's
there's
tough.
a surprise twist halfway through. I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if like everyone would have caught it, but also like you just look at the post like credits. We'll talk about it, but I'm just yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, we can talk about it now if you want.
Yeah,
like
to me, like as a not an expert, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the characters just seem like so flat. Like they had no texture, no like shading. Sometimes they had like one shadow, but I was like, these are supposed to be furry creatures, and they just look like flat paper. Like, but I did think that a lot of the backgrounds were nice, but then they didn't quite move correctly. You know, like.
Well, so I know, like for me, it was just jarring the definite change in style between like the types of animation. Like it just looked like a completely different character design than like obviously Dawn would have done or anything like that. And the other ones that came out really flat just were clearly traced. I was just like, wow, okay, we're just going to recycle that through that many scenes. That's cool.
It was like, it's pretty rough because there's so many parts too where like it doesn't look at all like the mouths are matching up to what they're saying or singing in this.
There's
one.
a really, really tough crowd scene too. Like they sing a big song and then everyone disperses and they just look like beep, 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 like little like robot, like they're like staggered kind of. I don't know how to explain it in audio form, but they were like moving along like old Mario or something.
Yeah, there was definitely like just it wasn't smooth animation that was happening early on in the film, and then somewhere close to like I guess it's like a quarter way in, like it starts to change a little bit, and then you really notice it towards the end quarter. You're like, oh wait, so did you hire new animators, and as they went along the film, they like learned how to animate? These
it could be.
Because towards the end, I don't know if it was just because I was getting used to it, or if I was just like, oh no, there's improvement there. Good for you. That seems smooth.
It's looking normal.
Yeah, I can buy that he ran that way.
Yeah. Or they had like one studio maybe do all the action and then some other studio just do all the people talking scenes or
Well,
something.
that's the thing I noted is in the end credits, it was shipped overseas to be a lot of key.
To Taiwan, I believe.
Yes,
with
that's
Wang
true.
Film Productions, it says.
Yep.
Which I think we experienced that on the Land Before Time ones too, right?
Yeah, that they were all over the place. We've seen
Lots of outsourced animation.
Mortal Kombat, Highlander, a lot of anime.
And that tends to happen as well because even though my degree was in media arts and animation, my portfolio was heavily focused on visual effects and editing. And typically, like even for the visual effects houses, like a lot of that's like either shipped to Canada or wherever it just makes the most sense for the budget.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I very clearly I was like, I hope they learned something over there. It looks like you did. I would have given you an A+.
Yeah.
So let's see. Yeah, we get the little previously on thing, and then we get a little check-in with Mrs. Brisby.
She's old now.
She's
you
old.
can
She's
tell
so
because she has
old.
white hair.
She's got glasses, I think.
Yeah.
And a very weirdly just smooth. It looked like they just ran like gray over the tips of her.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And like the kids are grown up now, but Cynthia, who we made fun of for just wearing a single bow as clothes, is now just wearing like plain overalls, which I thought was really funny because they were still like, we're not going to give you like full clothes. Here's some overalls. But yeah, Martin and Timmy are kind of introducing us to this idea of this prophecy, and he's bitter about it.
Yeah, which I honestly didn't even think a second about. I was just like,
Yeah.
Martin's not the main character. All right, bye.
Yeah.
Little did
It's not called Martin to the Rescue, obviously. But it is interesting, you know, I mean, if you got this prophecy about your son, he's going to save Thorn Valley and whatnot, you just like ship him off there and like, you don't go.
Yeah, it's like going to boarding school off in a different
they just like send him away. They don't try to do like we're going to raise him normal and then he'll come save you or anything. They just send him away.
It's just so funny because I don't know. In the world of this movie, at some point in Nicodemus's life, which we didn't see much of, and it must have been during the last film because he died in the last film.
Right.
He says that there's this prophecy. So they don't, but no one knows what it is. So they're like, I guess we just have to put you in Thorn Valley and you'll figure it out. Something's going to happen, I guess. I don't know. Nicodemus is smart.
Yeah.
He knows things.
Auntie Shrew is still there. She has, I think, literally one line of dialogue, and yet it's the mom from Everybody Loves Raymond. So I gotta think that there was like at least one more scene with her that they decided not to do or something. Because I'm like, why do you get like
Doris Roberts.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even know if Everybody Loves Raymond was already on, right?
It must
But she's been an actress for a long time. But still, it was just so random. Like, why do you even bother like getting anyone to do this one line?
Yeah.
Well, also there was like continuity with like characters' motives. Like with her, like I noted very strongly when I rewatched the first one, I was like, oh, like she doesn't trust the rats at all.
Yeah.
Like at all. And then over here, like she's hearing Martin talk about Nicodemus. Like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Do not take his name in vain.
Yes, and I was like, since when?
Yeah.
Did you jump sides?
Yeah.
Like, cool. You didn't watch the movie either? Okay. Whoever wrote the script.
But so pretty quickly he's got to get to Thorn Valley, and how's he going to get there? How's he going to get there? You know, okay. Here is something that I never thought I would say. I was like, this movie is so like rough that I was like, you could tell that the fact that Dom DeLuise is back as Jeremy felt like a comfort in some way. You're like, well, because it's like one of the few things that's like tethering you to like the greatness of the original film. Okay. So I was like, I don't mean it like, oh, I was so happy he was back. He was funny. I just meant like, I was like, everything is so far adrift from the original that like having like a couple of the original voice actors was like, oh my God, thank God. At least like something feels slightly like the original film. The rest of it is all so effed up.
It's really just him though, isn't it?
The Mr. Ages is back as well. I believe.
That's the same guy too.
Same guy. Yeah. I think there was just a couple. I mean, I might be in the minority on this, but I love Jeremy in the first film. I did. I mean, as a kid, like to me, like his humor was great. But then I realized watching this film, I'm like, oh, the scripting was great. You know what I mean? Because like I'm sure that they ad lib, because it's kind of like when you put you just think about all of those really great characters. Because I wrote notes about Jeremy when I was watching the first one about how he reminds me of Batty from Fern Gully. It's all of those tropes, you know, even the bat from Anastasia, like all
Bartok,
those, yeah, Bartok. They like, you let the comedians kind of have their reign and do what they do great, but also at the same time, it's paired with good scripting. And just, there was a line at the end of the second one that Jeremy says that I'm like, he like, it's not even, it's like broken English, and I'm like, ooh,
Oh God.
okay, all right, we're just okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought that, yeah, for me, there was just something about like, oh, okay, at least there's this slight tether to the original that is making it go like,
Feels
all right,
familiar.
yeah, it feels like part of a whole kind of, but I'm not saying I was excited to see him. That's not what I was saying.
Right.
I was, and then I was disappointed.
And you're like,
Yeah,
oh, no.
he still has his little string around his neck,
Yeah,
so
it's
you can tell it's him.
it's his defining,
Yeah.
Well, see, and
character
that,
design.
That was one of the things. So I think, like, literally the first note I put down was like, what did I say? Oh God, this is really bad. It's the most offensive things about this film. And I was just like, color choices. Because because of the strength of the color choices in the first one.
Right.
Red literally is a character unto itself in the first film. Like, they don't even, we don't fully grasp. You could kind of theorize on why everything's red and all of that stuff. But like, and it's obviously important. He's wearing it. There's people that are wearing red. It's important. It signifies important things that are happening. And just in this film, no one gave two shits about it. Like, and also, like, there was this green that they kept using over and over. And I was like, that is awful. Stop.
Like the eerie like green from the Nimh building.
It's not even like eerie green. It's like slime green.
Yeah, it's like Ghostbusters green or something.
The
like
hue
Slimer.
of it, like, because you can use green and it can be great, and it was used in that, but like you can tell it was not intentional. It's not crafted the same way. But yeah, no, like I was like, okay, so why does he have the red ribbon? Is anyone gonna explain this? This is the second movie. He is red. Red's not important anywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
It's just part of his costume now. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone's dressed now properly.
Yeah.
It's
And some of the mice have boob lines.
They do.
That's
or the cat that had
crazy.
a boob line later
Yeah.
on. We'll get
So
to
did
that.
Jenny, I think.
Oh boy. So we haven't brought this up yet, but this movie, for some reason, is a musical-ish, or maybe a topical. Is that a thing?
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
I was like, if your movie's going to be musical, wouldn't you want to get actors who can sing, maybe? And not just a chorus, I guess, that can sing.
So William H. Macy was playing Justin.
Yes.
Is that his singing
I
voice?
don't think.
I have no idea.
I
It
mean,
was
I
so
don't
good.
know.
He like
Would
came in.
surprise
I'm
me if he could sing a little.
didn't sound like- I don't know.
Ralph Macchio apparently can sing a little. He did how to succeed in business without really trying.
Yeah.
And he was trained as tap dancer growing up, I saw. But
I will say that.
and Dom DeLuise sings okay in American Tail and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but they don't even let him sing in this one. He has like this poem that he recites.
Dom DeLuise is listed as the performer on 2 of the songs, but William H. Macy is not listed on any of them.
Okay. So that makes sense. Yeah. No, I just was sitting there. I was like, oh, Justin, that's surprising. You're surprisingly good in this song. And
Yeah.
then like it never reappears again.
So yeah, the first song,
You gotta come make the most of your life.
yes.
That's pretty much how it goes.
That was more singing than the people in the movie did that you just did trying to not sing. Yeah, and essentially when we come in, Thorn Valley is the Gray Valley from Land Before Time, essentially.
Yeah. It turns out that the rats now moved into concept art drawing of Animal Kingdom from Walt Disney
Oh
World.
my God.
That's honestly what it was, like a giant tree with some stuff underneath it.
Sure, it was.
And
Yeah.
they're farming now.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
farming. They got it was weird because it also looked like there were mostly mice there. I don't know.
Yeah, there are mostly mice there now. The farming, that was definitely something they wanted to do in the book, so that made sense to me. But like the fact that they go and then like raid the human junkyard, I'm like, that's very against.
I know. I was
what
like,
Nicodemus wanted.
they're still using lots of
values.
human stuff.
Yeah. And then also like they bring in this concept that is from American Tail of like cheese, you know, like no one cared about cheese in the first movie at all. They ate like seeds and little fruits and wheat, but
We've got all
they
the
did not
cheese you
need
need.
cheese.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
Gosh, now that you bring it up, there was just so many tie-ins to American Tail. And
Yeah.
all of that. Yeah. No, it was like he did it before us. We're just gonna.
Yep. They're
Yeah.
just like, oh,
Oh
yeah,
my
mice,
gosh.
cheese, I don't know, rats, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is mostly mice, I'm assuming, because they're smaller and thus easier to draw.
It was weird. And so Justin is there, Brutus is there, Mr. Ages is there. They're all still kicking around.
Brutus is Kevin Michael Richardson. I recognize his voice
yeah.
immediately. I was like, oh, that's somebody. Yeah.
I was like, I didn't know that was him, but then later on in the thing, they're like, oh, Brutus, get over here. And I was like, oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Another character
that you,
back.
Brutus?
Yeah, A2 Brutus.
Dude, Brutus.
He has that moment where he's like, holy Nicodemus, or whatever, whatever the heck he says. What in the Nicodemus
Yeah.
fuck is going on? Yeah, I don't know.
I think he had one of the only lines that I actually laughed at when they give Timmy a whistle and then they're telling him what to do and he's like, don't blow it, kid. I mean, well, you know what I mean. And then he just leaves like
Terrible.
Oh my god.
Okay, but before we go on to the next song, this is where we get the most traumatic line of the movie, Mr. Ages.
I don't have it. I don't.
You didn't write it down?
No.
So it is revealed that of the many things that Mr. Ages has taught Timmy over the years, one of them is it's okay for guys to wear underwear, the same underwear, 3 days in a row.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Justin, can you confirm?
No.
That's
I would
Put
think
you
it-
right on the spot there.
I would think that would definitely not be true for mice.
well, and the funny part is when he's saying it, neither of them wear bottoms. Timmy does not wear pants. Mr. Ages does not wear pants. And so why
Yeah.
even say this?
Also, I thought they were supposed to be smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
They haven't developed laundry machines yet.
right. No, it's definitely one of those things that like when I was looking up, because I was like, are there any I consume a lot of like YouTube commentary on things. I was like, is there any commentary on anything? Secret of Nimh, anything. I go and look and it's just clips of this.
Just this?
This quote. And it's literally well, and it's also because like he's like, that's supposed to be between you and I. And so everyone's like,
It does sound like a weird like grooming thing or whatever. Yeah, like
that's
well, it's
super creepy.
just like why between you and him, and why are you even talking about that?
why are you talking to a little boy about underwear? You know?
Yeah, I mean, like 3 days. That's
no,
you know,
no.
like-
Terrible.
And neither of them wears underwear. That is like really the most like so many times, not just then, but so many times during this movie, I was like, the actors recorded a script and when the script was being written, no one had any idea what any animation was going to look like or what the characters were going to look like. And then the people who were animating it had no idea what the script was or what
You're
they were
probably
saying.
right.
So,
that sounds about right.
yeah.
There was actually another line that I don't know if it happens before that underwear joke or after. It's what does he say? Timmy says to him, "But I am not my father," and Justin goes, "Well, let's let history be the judge of that, shall we?"
That was such a weird line. It's like he's literally not his father. Like the history, what? Like
This is when
Oh my God, you are your father.
right?
How?
Right. What you mean
Time
you're
travel.
not supposed to just do whatever your lineage does? Like
No.
I was just like this messaging. That's where it clicked for me. I'm like, oh, so the messaging on this is just like nobody thought about it at all.
right.
It's just something to say.
Well, it's just even the phrasing. It's like he could have just said like I'm not a hero like my father, and then it would have made sense. But no, he said I am not my father, and Justin was like, well, like yeah.
Maybe you are. You know,
Yeah.
maybe you are.
Yeah.
It's just not the great.
But yeah, we get an I Want song. I think, is it called My Father's Son? Or that's the gist
It's
of
called
it.
I Will Show the World.
I Will Show the World. Okay.
It sounds like an evil bad guy song.
Yeah.
I will show the world. This one was really funny too because like we go through a time jump during it. So at the very start, I was like, "Oh God!"
It was
It's the kid. The kid singing
The
like
kid was really
"I will
bad.
be a
Yeah.
singer," and then like I don't know, he sings like 2 lines and then it morphs.
and then it
into,
becomes
like,
amazing, and then it
That's
becomes
what I
like
was gonna
so-so.
say.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
there are
the
at least 3
teenager-
people that sang this song.
The preteen was better than the
Yeah.
Then the final, yeah.
I
And
think it's
the
supposed to be
kid.
19-year-old or something.
He's the middle is supposedly 13,
Right.
and then I guess him and Timmy and Jenny are supposed to be like 19 and 17 or something like that. Yeah.
I was trying.
Why do we need to know their exact ages?
Well, this is just to IMDb.
I think it's in
guess.
the credits, yeah.
Yeah, in the credits.
I was trying to think of another time that I had seen this done because I was like, oh, it is interesting to have like that transformation happen during a song. And the only thing I could think of was Swan Princess.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata.
Oh,
Like,
yes,
it's like
yeah.
when he finally
Matata,
comes
yeah.
in
That's a
and he's
good
like,
one,
it
yeah.
means no worries. You're like, oh, thank God we finally got Matthew Broderick. Sorry, kid. It really was that.
Yeah.
But I did think that of all the songs, if I had to pick one that was like the nicest or the quote unquote best, this is the one that I felt like sounded the best and was like the closest to like a Broadway type, Disney type song.
Yeah.
Maybe. I thought they were all kind of bad.
They no, I know. I thought they were all bad, but this one at least like made sense
This
when
one
he
I'm
was
gonna
singing
listen to
about.
tomorrow.
It didn't have like cheap jokes or anachronisms in it. It was just like a typical I Want song.
It wasn't
Yeah.
literally somewhere out there.
Yeah.
No, we get that later when
That's
he's
later.
like singing in the moonlight
Yeah.
up
Yep.
to the sky.
And they do the side by
Side
side
duet.
They're singing to each other across vast distances
Yeah.
of 2 rooms,
I was-
probably.
I was like, this was before TikTok kids. Like, I was just like, wow. So this is the embodiment of all that. But yeah, no, it's I think I think that song probably for me was one of the stronger ones, and even like the one when he enters the city. But I think I had actually it's the same song when he enters the city as when he comes back and gets like the homecoming parade, isn't it?
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It sounds like some reprise of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember like it just stuck out to me at the end. I was like, why is baseball involved in the lyrics on this?
Right,
Like,
right.
like, did they play baseball once
Yeah, I
in the
don't know.
film?
They got
bizarre.
baseball. They got credit cards, all that.
And then everything like stops to a halt after the song to show what's up at Nim. Like, and there's like cats that the evil scientist is like, I'm gonna take these cats and make them into monsters.
Yeah.
And they're basically like, I don't know why, but I was like, did you see Cats? I saw Cats for some
new
reason.
movie? No.
This female cat, I think her name is Muriel. I was like, this is essentially the Rebel Wilson, Jenny Anydots character from Cats.
Oh, God.
Well, I think there also is a scene in 50 Goes West that has her singing and someone throwing something out the window and she's on the fence. Oh, what is that cat's name?
There is a whole cat.
Yeah.
Like there's like
Western
a whole
sequence,
Yeah, like it just.
Oh yeah, there was the evil girl cat in that one, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
similar. Looks similar to that.
Yeah, but I was like, you're just looking at Don's work now and just.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm like, can I copy your homework?
Yeah. It's pretty funny. So we this is where we get a little bit more retconning coming in. We get introduced all of a sudden to a character named Jenny, who's escaped. She's escaped from Nimh. And I thought that it was really funny because I feel like there's no mention. I don't think they explain any of this at all. Well, I don't know if you would be confused or what, but I thought it was really funny when he turns to Justin and goes like, Justin, she can read. But it's like without any context of like the previous film where they were all like talking about how like,
That's
oh,
true.
some of
Yeah.
us can read. And
If you hadn't just read the book and seen the last movie like me, you might be like, what? You know, like.
yeah, you might be like, okay, so what?
But
Yeah,
for me,
they're
this
all
was like
talking,
one of the
so-
few callbacks that I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Because there's these 6 mice that disappear during
Yeah.
the escape and meet a horrible death in the movie and the book.
Or did they?
But supposedly they just found them later and locked them up again.
Yeah, instead they landed on like a cushion.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them were injured. I think she said that. I think she was like, some of them were injured. And I remember thinking in the first film, I was like, how do they know they were all dead? You didn't see them. Whenever it's like that in
I
a cartoon.
probably would assume they were dead too if I was in that
Well,
situation.
they went flying down a vent
Yeah.
into like a metal
like, I don't
fan.
have the
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
facilities
Willy
to go look
Wonka
down
type
there.
thing. Yeah.
No, yeah. I just like, I feel like working in our industry, I've been so scarred. I'm like, if I didn't see
If
them
you don't see
dead-
the body, yeah.
I'm like, I don't believe it anyway. But like, yeah, there's just some stuff that I did note that, like, I was like, yeah, you had to have seen the first film or else you.
Yeah.
Woo.
I just thought it was funny because it played out just exactly how, like, in the first movie when she's like, oh, I'm Mrs. Brisby, and everyone there's like, Brisby? Oh my God, what, Brisby? And in this one, she's like, I'm Jenny McBride, and he's like, McBride? Oh my God, McBride? That's one of the other. There's just like some beats that are like beat for beat the same thing from the first film, but worse, but it is.
Which also, by the way, all the rats only have one name, but then the mice always have a first and last name.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what Mr. Ages' first name is, but there's like Jonathan Brisby and Mr. Ages, but there's like Nicodemus and Justin and that other guy.
Brutus.
Yeah. So I don't know why.
I mean, it is. Yeah, it is interesting that they were to revisit those mice. It makes sense, I guess, as far as if you're like looking at things to come up with for a sequel. And you don't want to go with the source material that exists.
It makes more sense than showing Nim as like this Frankenstein mansion in the middle of 4 other high-rise buildings. Like they have to go down.
I was like, yeah, we're at this point we're still kind of like, okay, we're on the rails of like a normal story. We got to go save. Now we got to go save these mice from like clearly an evil doctor. I was like, that seems totally normal. And then, like, we get a little bit further on and you learn that, like, apparently there's another mouse there that knows how to get to Thorn Valley. And his name, I think, was Martin.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, my God, his brother's there. Okay, so now he's got to go save his brother.
Totally
great, normal.
Great.
Totally normal. And then,
I don't know. Did you see it coming?
No.
I didn't see it coming either. And this is, like, crazy because I always see these things coming. I ruin everything.
Yeah, I was just like, why does this even happen? It doesn't need to happen. There doesn't need to be, like, this hat in a hat like twist all of a sudden.
There is a huge twist that we're skating around, but
I mean, we're skipping over 2
should we
other
go back
songs.
to the Magic Mystery Show?
Yeah.
Let's go back to it. Yeah, so we get this whole like we got to go visit the Great Owl.
Yeah,
because he's gonna tell me what my destiny is or whatever.
So he tries to use a hot air balloon or just a balloon, rather.
Yeah.
He's like this.
Nim, here we come.
Also, I don't know if you can hear in this clip, I did not change anything other than fade out at the end.
Okay.
But this is how it sounds in the movie. Like, listen to the end of his voice.
Nim, here we come.
Definite reverb.
It's like, but it's like clipped off.
Nim, here we come.
like it doesn't ring out all the way. It's like chopped. I don't know, really awful.
But anyways, they like almost make out in this balloon and then they get attacked.
No, the number of times that they almost make out, I'm just like, well, also.
Why is there a love story?
Also, why is there oh my gosh, a Spider-Man moment when he's hanging upside down? And I'm like, that hasn't even happened yet in your timeline. like, it legitimate. I was like, Rainey, is that you? Like, what is happening here? And then I was like, okay, no, they're not gonna kiss. They shouldn't kiss. Nobody kissed in the original. They shouldn't kiss in this one. Yeah, and like during the song, it's all like goo goo eyes, and
they like just met.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And he's like, I love you.
Well, that's later, but that was ridiculous.
I just think it's funny that like the first film, like super dark film.
Yeah.
People die. There's blood. And in this one, it's like, ooh, this love story. And this is too adult for us. Then why are they even having this? Ew. Show more people getting killed. We don't want this love stuff in this.
Yeah.
It literally looked like
Too
they
much.
just like took like. It was kind of like what happens when studio executives get their hands on things and they're like, whoa, we're not going to tread over there. Whoa. Remember, this is for kids, but also love stories sell. Like, it's just a whole...
I know, I was like, what kid is going to be like, oh my God, I love Timmy.
Yeah.
Or Jenny on the other side. I don't know. I'm like...
I did hear someone mention, they were like, oh, like, they're like, everyone's all simping over,
Justin?
No, Robin Hood and stuff like that, like the furries. But then they're like, why not Justin?
Right. Well, so every week I do the images for our podcast, and I don't know why I keep having us do animated things because I forget how horrible it is. Because when you Google characters from an obscure animated sequel, always within the like first 1 page of image results is like DeviantArt stuff and fan art. And so there's lots of things with Justin. There was a lot of things of Justin and Mrs. Brisby from the first movie
making out,
even though one's a rat and one's a mouse. And
maybe it's because they didn't kiss. If they had kissed, that we wouldn't have all these
angsty,
DeviantArt people.
So no shame. We don't want to yuck anybody's yum as long as everyone's a consenting adult that's not hurting anyone. But yeah, it's strange to me. But yes, lots of Justin fan art.
Yeah. No.
It's weird. It's awesome.
It's funny because I didn't go looking that deep yet, but I saw one fan art for this one that wasn't even dirty. It was just like them being like, here's what happened between the first movie, and it's like a flashback to Nicodemus being like, I'm having a prophecy about how Timmy's gonna save everybody, and they're like, okay, and they like file it away. Like,
in their file cabinet.
that wasn't even dirty. It was just they were like, what? Why?
Random fan.
So yeah. But yeah, we find out that Jeremy's doing a whole Wizard of Oz situation here where he's pretending to be. What happened to the Great Owl?
The Great Owl is
Died?
dead or flew away. I mean, there's been a lot of
Kansas?
time. Yeah, there's been a lot of time passed between the first film and this one at this point. So
That's true.
I'm
The
assuming-
owl was pretty dang old, but I
assuming
think
the
they
owl's
live a
dead.
long time. Anyway, he's gone.
Yeah.
So Jeremy's just pretending. He's putting on a like wig.
And he's got a caterpillar hype man
Yeah.
or like agent or whatever.
I think
don't know
it's
what
his
he-
manager.
His manager, yeah.
But I will say, like, I think the note I wrote down for that song was like, is this really going to be tropical steel drums? Like, what is happening here?
Like the mushrooms is like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, we're nowhere near an island. No, stop.
This was like we need to have a song that's like something like what Sebastian might sing.
Yeah, because
Right.
we have that whole eye contact problem. I'm like, this is
But
not
it's a
Kiss the Girl.
caterpillar.
This is
This
not
happens in a lot of Land Before Times though too, where they
Yes.
end up doing this like
Calypso
yeah,
song.
calypso
it's terrible.
islandy themes.
Terrible.
But yeah, the song is called Magic Mystery Show.
Magic Mystery Show.
And speaking of magic,
Which makes me think of something. It's called Magic Mind. You might have heard us talk about it on the last couple episodes. We're talking about it here again. They're sponsored this week again, and we're happy to have them back. And if you don't know what Magic Mind is, it's a little green drink that comes in this tiny little plastic bottle, and it's something that you can drink in the morning with your coffee or without your coffee that will give you some focus throughout your day.
yeah, it tastes really good. And it has, because you can add it to whatever caffeine you're taking instead of trying to take more caffeine, it helps you be able to fall asleep more easily at night. It can make you like more productive during the day and give you like focus and energy without giving you like that stress and anxiety that you could sometimes get with caffeine.
That's right. And, for some people, it allows them, like you said, to totally replace coffee or drink less coffee. And it has like amazing ingredients, then all natural ingredients, stuff like matcha, ashwagandha, lion's mane mushrooms, cordyceps mushrooms. Everything is totally, keto friendly, paleo friendly, all stuff that's good for you. And guess what? Excuse me. Sorry. We're not talking about this just for the fun of it. We've got a special deal for you. And just so you know, this deal is only to the end of the month, January. So you have literally until like the end of the day that you're hearing this to take, this deal that I'm going to tell you about right now. All you got to do is go to our website at www.magicmind.com/Jan Sequel Rights. That's JAN. And then our podcast name, Sequel Rights. Again, that's www.magicmind.com/Jan, all caps, Sequel Rights, lowercase. And you can go there and you can get 1 month for free when you're subscribing for 3 months. Also, on top of that, when you go to check out, if you use our code Sequel Rights 20, that's Sequel Rights 20, you can get an extra 20% off, which gives you a total of 75% off your order. And this is amazing. And again, it only lasts to the end of January. So you got to do it today. You're hearing this on the final day of January. So this is your chance to gear up and help let Magic Mind help you crush 2024 and all of your New Year resolutions fully focused.
Yeah. And if you happen to hear this after this day, this code and this website will still give you a great discount. It just won't be this exact deal.
Yeah, that's right. So get it while you can. We love it. Magic Mind, do it up. All right, back to the singing animals.
Yeah, so this is the song that annoys me because it has a bunch of anachronisms. He shows like a fake animal Amex.
It says Forest. It says I pause it. It says Forest Express, and then I think it says like Optimouse or something like that. I don't know. It's terrible. It's
Good
terrible.
boy.
Yeah, big sigh on that one. I was just like,
Yeah.
why did you have to go do that? But also, like, don't
Also,
need the
like,
steel drums, don't need all that. Yeah.
I'm a little bit like, what the fuck movie is this caterpillar out of? Like, it does
Yeah.
not look like does not look like it belongs in this film at all. Like, huh?
Well, so when I was looking
It's got a top hat and like, I'm like, what is this?
I did attempt to look for, when I was looking for the cat scene singing in the alley, I did come across a scene where there is a bug in one of Don Bluth's films.
Oh,
and
boy.
I was just like, oh, so here.
Yep, they're just copying again.
I was like, okay, cool.
He kind of looked like that old Silly Symphonies caterpillar with the top hat from Disney, but
He's got a
it's
full
just my brain.
suit. He's got a full suit and a bow tie on too. I don't know.
Yeah, and what did he say? He's like, don't ruin my pedi or something like that. He literally talks about getting a pedicure. I'm like,
Yeah, and he
what
has all
is
these
this?
jokes like, if I go in there, I won't make it to Butterfly.
I mean, it's not his
Hey, I
fault.
only have 4 hands.
I really like this actor. What's his name again? Misak. What's the last name?
Misak Taylor.
Taylor. The guy. He's from Designing Women, and my parents love that show. So this guy's super funny. But yeah, they gave him like nothing to work with.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's not his fault. It's just a bad character.
Yeah, it really is. But yeah, they just escape.
Yeah, they escape. They fly to, Jeremy agrees to take them somewhere. He doesn't know where they're going, I guess. He's just like, we got to get to the next place. And he's like, okay. And they're flying. They're flying into this big city that looks like New York or something for a second. And then, you see like this
4 buildings.
fortress. Yeah, it looks like a column of buildings that within that at the very bottom, like in what would be the courtyard of this building is Nimh.
Yeah, it's like the Up House or something, but it's a crazy asylum
Yeah.
surrounded by 4 buildings.
Yeah, with just the most forced perspective, like that you
Yes.
could possibly. I was like, wow, that is a lot of perspective in that one frame.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And there's like a glass atrium type thing that is bright green. You talked
glowing
about
green,
already.
yeah.
Yeah, this color.
And it's just really funny. Like, I think like right before they get there, he's like, where are we going anyways? And they're like, we're going to Nimh. And he's like, oh, fuck, Nimh. No, get me out of here. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he leaves.
I did think it was pretty like punk or effed up when they walk in and they see that there's like these human scientists in cage acting like dogs, and like Jenny and Timmy immediately are like, oh my god, they like are making humans into dogs. Because I was like, okay, this is starting to get really messed up. Like, what the hell is going on at the National Institute of Mental Health? Like, it was
know.
already weird that they were trying to make rats and mice smart, but now they're like making humans into animals. Like, you're missing the mental health part of this institute completely.
I was like, I know the first film had magic, but this is like a whole nother fucking thing. And my mind is going like, God, this dude really is crazy. This Valentine guy, like they turned him into a crazy monster dude. And
well, I was
that's not even what's happening.
I was gonna say they went full sci-fi.
Yeah.
Like I was just like, oh, you guys went dark and sci-fi. You're just gonna fully embrace that. I was like, okay, I guess I could believe that. Sure, they're dogs now.
Yeah, and it's funny because in the first movie we talked a little bit about how it was giving us Guardians 3 vibes.
Yeah.
But this one is even more like the High Evolutionary is in the like on the case. He's like mixing up different animals and making weird hybrids, and it's messed up. But turns out,
Well, there's actually, I mean, so this is like, I think one of the reasons that you don't really see it coming is that it's actually a pretty good reveal that they set up.
right?
Like they get to the, like what is the main, office or whatever of the crazy scientist guy, and he is there standing like really ominously above them, and you see the shot of like, oh my god, he's super evil, and then like all of a sudden out of nowhere, like a ball goes bouncing past him, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then all of a sudden he's like, woof, 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 and like goes after him, and I was like, oh shit, what?
Yeah.
And then I started clicking like, okay, some other animal now in charge, I guess.
Which is a pretty crazy twist. I mean, I have to say, like, if I have to pick out anything positive about this movie, it's that there actually are some interesting ideas in the plot here.
Yeah.
Like, we always hear about these stories about like the heir and the spare, and the younger one is bitter. But this one, for some reason, there's this weird prophecy where the younger brother gets plucked out of obscurity, and the older one is like bitter, and he's pissed, and he
smarter than
becomes
you.
evil, which I just did not see coming. I was like, I just thought we weren't going to see him anymore, and at the end he was going to be like, good job, Timmy. But no, he like lost it and became nuts.
Yeah, I guess they did a good job of like sprinkling in what's going on with Martin, like in the very background,
Right.
like, extreme background, so that you're not even thinking about him. Like you're just thinking like he's gonna go get there and be rescued. But I guess they did, like you said, they did set it up in the beginning of the film, but you're not even really thinking about it. But yeah, it turns out he went super hella crazy because he got zapped. You know, here they're not getting injections; they're getting like zapped with
Which
electric.
is just crazy. Like this electroshock therapy is what's making them smarter somehow. And then Martin does that to all the humans and all these other kind of animals.
Yeah.
He's just electrocuting everybody like left and right.
I mean, there's like a mess. They like literally show him like tricking the doctor and like putting the electrodes on his head, and I was like, this is fucked up to be like showing kids. Like, what the fuck? And like, I don't know. It happens during this whole like I am super evil song. That, you know, again, I guess inspired casting choice of Eric Idle, but like, God, the song is also terrible.
Well, I think I have noted here, and I was waiting to see if either one of you was going to say it, but I'm just like, why is the older Martin all of a sudden British?
Right.
Just because.
Yeah, well, and then I was like trying to give benefit of the doubt. I'm like, oh, maybe it's that FAS. Have you heard of that? Like foreign accent syndrome, which can happen, and it can like magically go away. I was like, oh my gosh, inclusivity, I love it. Like they're representing.
It is the Institute of Mental Health after all.
Yeah, I was like, maybe that's it. And so I kind of forgave it a little bit, but like, yeah, the whole time I'm just like, British. But then I also realized while I was watching, or I was going through some of the Fievel clips, the evil guy in there is British as well. I kid you not.
They're always British.
Yeah.
They're always
If
British.
you're mysterious or magical or evil, you're probably British in a movie, in an animated movie.
98% chance you're
Yeah. It's like, why is Jafar British? I don't know. But, you know,
super
like-
British. The song he sings is so bad, and like the first line almost made me spit out my water because I was just like, this is so awful. But just so you can have a taste, because it wasn't in the trailer, I'll play this part that I just thought was really funny and just horribly worded. Here we go.
I was far too smart from the very start, 'cause our father came from Nimh.
Wow.
Okay.
Came from Nimh. I was just like, this is just awful. It doesn't get any better from that.
It's not even singing, it's just enunciating.
More
Like-
talking. I'm not a fan of Eric Idle, and anyone who's been to Epcot in the last 15 years knows why. So I was definitely like, oh heck no,
You were
when
like,
I realized who this was. Same
Yeah.
character, by the way, as the guy in Epcot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So
I actually noted down one of the lyrics too. It's the I control the wind and the weather. I was like, oh, now he's God.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, what is
now he's
happening?
also. I don't know.
It was crazy. He had like a magic wand staff and everything. It was like
That's
nuts.
true.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
But I did like how unhinged he actually was, because there definitely was like no wiggle room for like, oh, maybe he could like, you know,
No.
save his brother or whatever, even though he kind of tries. But I also did like how the song, he was like, it wasn't full on evil, like I'm going to kill Timmy. He was like, you should join me.
Yeah,
like,
he was trying to
we
get
can
him
rule the
to
galaxy together, you know,
join
like
forces,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of those like you're like, oh, you're fully unhinged.
Yeah.
That's and also it's like yes, everyone just if you're willing to go along with him, he welcomes you into like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And if not, he'll just electrocute you, and then you have to do whatever he says.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's why I will say, like, even though like this was born out of his, how would you say it? Like it was born out of his like resentment over like his brother getting all of this like attention and like praise and like accolades that are like supposed to be coming his way.
Yeah.
I do think that it was interesting because it wasn't like true revenge. Like he didn't hate his brother, not even in like his evil form.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, join me.
Yeah.
Like, you can work under me. We can rule together. All this stuff.
Because he's trying to be smart. He's smart.
Yeah. So it was just like interesting choice.
Real Kendall Roy, I am the oldest son
right.
energy
Come on,
here.
let's do this, yeah.
I need to make that meme, actually, that approximately 5 people will get.
Yes. Like, who has seen this?
Yeah. And also Succession. Like, where those Venn diagrams come
You
together.
never know. You never know. It might be a lot. There was also another really hilarious moment in this section before we get like to the end and everything. Because after earlier in the film being like, hell no, we're not going to go save those people. We don't want them to know how to get to Thorn Valley, blah, blah, blah. This guy shows up.
Justin, what are you doing here?
And there's this funny moment that made me laugh. They go to unlock the cage of all the six or whatever, the lost six or whatever they call them. And this moment happens.
Justin, is that really you?
To the rescue.
I know. It's like, hello, that's not Justin to the rescue.
Yeah, the movie's
How
called
dare
Timmy
you?
To the Rescue. Why do you let Timmy be like, to the rescue? Also, it sounds like it was like added in.
Justin, is that really you?
To the rescue.
It sounds like someone recorded in a totally different place.
Of course they did.
Well, I know,
William
but
H.
it's
Macy never interacted with any other
but
person
it's
in this
the goal-
movie.
I know, but it's like the goal of whoever's doing the mixing to make it sound like it all comes from
you
the
know.
same location. They're in the same room. They shouldn't sound like some guy just popped in like, to the rescue. Derpity dear. Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, I will say it is weird that like when Justin does come to the lab and like surprises
To
them
the
or
rescue,
whatever-
you mean?
Yeah, to the rescue. Timmy doesn't recognize him, even though he's facing him full on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, bro, like, you okay?
He raised you, essentially. Like,
I thought you were your father's son. Or your father completely. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was very strange. And so like that whole like, I'm like, when did they decide to come? But I will say Justin does have the tendency, because even in the first film, like he just straight up is like, I'll be back for you, and then he just like leaves when she
Yeah.
he like quickly, and he's like obviously like trying to help her and like move the house or whatever, but I'm just like, maybe that's just his go-to. He's just like, no, and then all of a sudden he just shows up and he's just like on to the next thing.
Yeah, there's that scene in the first film where they have to like interrupt him crying on a rock to go like save somebody because he's just like, oh, I fucked up.
oh boy. Then everyone gets
They all
put in
get-
separate cages so
Yeah.
that we can have somewhere out there.
All I had is gone, which is literally a Somewhere Out There clone. They're looking up at the sky, picture in picture.
But can we also talk
Split
about
screen.
when he puts him in the cage? He's literally like, our father's favorite cage, his favorite place. Like I was like, oh,
Yeah, it's dark.
oh,
It's pretty dark.
Stop. But yeah, then the cage happens, the moonlight comes out.
Oh my god, we didn't even talk about like the fact that they give him this key at the beginning of the
So
movie
stupid.
as this gift,
on
and then
a red string.
and then they take it, and you think it's going to be used to open the cage, but he just uses it as like
It's so
essentially
dumb.
as a screwdriver.
There's like 6 different times where like maybe this key works in this lock, and they never even try it in the
it
lock.
never
and
gets used
They use it for something. They use it basically to like pry up
as a screwdriver. Yeah.
thing, and then he also uses it in the slingshot. I think,
Yeah.
to like throw it. Someone.
Okay, sorry, I interrupted you about the song, but I just remembered about the key. And
Yeah, I
was
was
like,
thinking. The
I
same
literally stopped one of the frames to be like, how did he open that?
yeah.
thing. Did he use the key?
Because it didn't also like he was taking the hinges off, but it was still locked on the other side, but then it opened from the bottom. Hello?
Is it supposed to be like showing that like, wow, he's so smart, he used the key for something that's not a lock?
Yes.
Something other than a lock? Yeah, I don't know.
It was a wow point. But yeah, no, the song comes in and I'm just like, yeah, it's like every duet that we've ever seen in the moonlight.
And yeah, I'm just like, the whole time I'm just like, why is there even there doesn't need to be a love story. Why?
No.
Why?
But it's also about him disappointing his father.
I love you.
Like,
He says
Oh
it
my
there.
god, yeah, and then later he's like, she finally kisses him, and then he's like, I love you, and runs away, and she's like, I love you too, and I'm like,
yeah.
But first he's like, don't come after me. I'm going into the fire like an idiot.
Don't come after me. I love you, but
Yeah, and I think he throws his hands up and spins like, I love you.
yeah, because
in the flames,
after she
yeah.
finally kisses him, he's like, yeah, like it's just, oh my
He's
God.
like, yeah, boy. Yeah. I will say that I thought that the like final like whole, I guess it's like a set piece with the fire and how they escape eventually actually was like pretty good as far as like an action scene
wait,
for an
you're not
animated
talking
film.
about the catapult.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked okay for this like for what we're getting. I was like, all right.
Well, these two, speaking of catapults, cats, whatever, these two cats did not need to be in the movie at all. You already have like a fake villain and a real villain, and you do not need these dummies here just like distracting.
Yeah, and they die like 6 times.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Well, because they
they're
have 9.
cats,
They
you're
have 9 lives. Just
No, I just thought that it was cool that they like got exploded out, and then Jeremy came to catch them, and then the explosion actually looked like a nuclear bomb went off. Like,
Yeah.
and then what I thought was like one of the funniest moments for me in the film, and I was so glad that something happened like this. We see like the firefighters breaking down the door.
Oh my God.
And he like kicks down the door, and then all of a sudden all the because I was thinking like, oh my God, they just like kill all those humans that were in there or whatever. And then like all of a sudden like bursting out of the cage come all these like humans that are like past this firefighter, and I'm thinking like, this guy better, I'm watching it like, this guy better say something, or I'm going to be like, why didn't the movie not have some guy going like, what the fuck? And then he literally turns to the camera and goes like, what?
I literally.
Obviously he didn't say the fuck, but I was like, thank God,
someone said something.
Actually said something.
I literally, not until you was saying it right now, I was like, well, it doesn't matter. They're not killing dogs.
Right.
But then they are, though, because it's like they turn into dogs.
It's like so bizarre. I mean, what's going to happen to those guys? They just need like more electrical shock therapy and they're going to turn human again? Or what?
Martin gets turned back.
returns,
So
I guess.
So I was like, clearly it's repairable.
he just needed some cheese, I think.
Jeez. Oh my God.
I think the other most hilarious part for me is at the very end of the film as well. But so they get rescued, everyone's happy, woohoo. They go back to Thorn Valley, right? And there's a big like parade ceremony where they sing. And what I thought was really, really funny is the whole movie you have this. They keep focusing on this like huge like bronze statue they have of.
Well, I think it's wooden, but
or
yes,
whatever.
of Jonathan Brisby.
It looked like metal to me, but I don't know. Whatever. It's like this
statue.
fancy statue they have in the center of the town square or whatever of Jonathan Brisby, and he's always looking up at like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do, Dad? Blah 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 blah. And then at the end of this big like, you know, processional parade ceremony, they have it, you know, covered in a sheet, and they unveil it because they're like, you're a hero, Timothy, you're so cool, and they unveil it, and they see that like he's been added, but then underneath it is a plaque that says Jacob Brisby and son.
Jonathan Brisby.
Jonathan
and
Brisby
son.
and son. It doesn't even say his name. I was like, what the fuck? That's so embarrassing. It could be anybody. He has multiple sons.
It's pretty crazy, especially with
Jonathan Brisby and son.
Yeah, especially with his brother Martin literally right there. Like, it's probably still little, even though you're good again, it's probably still a little bit of a sore subject.
Yeah.
Maybe we wait a couple of weeks before we unveil the statue.
It was just like, why wouldn't you? I don't know.
Well,
it just was such a weird way to put that.
I was going to say, it actually is, I would dare say, canon with the first film, because you think about it, like someone, because actually I did find one commentary YouTuber who did talk about it. I think he was not Nostalgia Critic or something like that, and he had brought up the point that like all of the characters are in the shadow of Jonathan. Like, it's all about like literally everyone in his life has lived in his shadow. So I was like, it's kind of canon for.
I mean, why don't they have a freaking statue of Mrs.
Brisby.
Yeah.
She's literally saved the day in the first one too. Like, what?
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask you if you noted any of the ad libs that were, because you said some of them like while the parade was happening, but I noted some like ones I was like, oh, that's beautiful.
What were the crowd saying?
It was like, you were there when we needed you.
That's what I yell at a parade. Yeah,
you did it. Doesn't he look great?
He's so sexy. I mean, heroic.
I was like, whoever wrote this desperately wishes someone was saying that about them.
Oh my God.
And Jenny like climbs up on the little float that he's on and then like makes out with him on the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when I was like, oh, she has a boob line, because you specifically talked about how none of they're not like sexualized in the first one, and here they're like, oh God, why?
It's a lot. And overall, I just think like there's so much like weird messages that they put in, but nobody took the time to think like, is this going all the way through the movie? Because I feel like in the beginning they're trying to teach him like, you got to think things through, like over and over again. But then at part way through the movie, it becomes like, you need to learn how to improvise and adapt. It's like, those are two completely different things. Which one is the lesson that you're trying to teach him here? It's either one or the other.
And one of them is like, literally improvise like you're an actor. And he goes like,
yes, and
Yeah.
He has that moment where he flashes back in the memory, like, you need to improvise.
It's a lot.
Like, yeah, it's so stupid.
Can we do the child star
Maybe a
check-in?
key is not really a key at all.
Oh my god! Except it is actually a key that you never use.
Yeah.
I do have some interesting child star check-ins, even
I'm
though
ready.
I feel like none of the kids really had barely any lines, but these
I know, I
people
was
still
about
got
to say.
credited. Young Martin was played by Philip Van Dyke, who is Arnold of Hey Arnold, and he is Luke in Halloween Town. But he hasn't really acted very much since like the early 2000s. Just went on to other career, I guess. Timmy, age 10, this is interesting, is this guy, then kid named Andrew Ducote. He was in the show Dave's World for a long time, I guess, as one of the kids, if you remember
so
that.
random.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that in forever. But actually, he then later started to work at Disneyland in Anaheim and was friends with Peter Pan. And somehow on social media, I guess message boards or something, he got the nickname from fans as Spieling Peter because he was really good at like talking to people. So like he's doing a spiel, I guess. So he got the nickname as Spieling Peter. He like got a following, like people started going specifically just to meet with him. And then he married someone who was friends with Wendy. And so then the fans started freaking out even more because they were like, Peter Pan and Wendy got married, oh my God. And then at some point, he was essentially like forced to retire by Disney because he probably started to look like a man and not a small boy. And there's like this whole post on Instagram of him being like, it wasn't my choice, but it's time for Peter Pan to move on. I think I'll keep Wendy, P.S. or whatever. You know, it was just like, oh my God. So this guy was like local famous if you're in the Disney world, I guess,
right.
which I never have heard of him, but
That's so funny.
he looked familiar, kind
A lot of lore. For
yeah, I know. But then I guess he also like starred and helped produce a PSA for the Second Amendment. So he probably sucks.
boy.
You know,
Yeah, I was
there
like,
you go.
wow.
Yeah.
Cynthia,
mind.
I don't remember Cynthia saying anything in this movie, but it was the actress Whitney Claire Kaufman, who is a pretty successful singer. She was in the national tour of Mamma Mia, and she does a lot of like solo songs and performances with like various philharmonic orchestras, and when they have like Disney on tour and concert, or like the holiday hits sung by this random person and this orchestra or whatever, like she does a lot of stuff like that. So Teresa, and this is actually how we found out about this movie in the first place, because the girl who voices Teresa is Jamie Cronin Cargania, whose daughter was Everly Cargania from Spy Kids 5? The new one. Spy Kids, the new one on Netflix. And that's
Kids
how we
Armageddon.
first found out about the fact this movie even existed, because I looked up who this girl's parents were. So she also does a lot of singing for Disney. Like if you hear Moana or Ariel like in a video game or like on a toy, and it's clearly not Jodie Benson or Ali Carvalho, it might be this lady.
That's cool.
But also she's like an LAPD officer as well. So it's just like bonkers. She's been in the LAPD for 9 years, and looks like they cart her out for a lot of like PR things. She mostly like does recruitment and stuff, but it says she's like patrolled and everything. So
I mean,
whatever.
it's tough times.
Yeah. Everyone's got a side hustle, I guess. My side hustle is the LAPD. And then finally, Timmy at age 13 was a kid named Alex Strange, who got his start on Broadway in Les Mis and Ragtime with Lea Michele. They were the two
Whoa.
kids in the original
That
Ragtime.
makes a lot of sense.
And so he's the kid that did most of the singing in the song. The part that sounds good is him.
Right.
Yeah. But it's so funny because I found this post on Reddit about him. Somebody said on, r/Broadway, on a post that was people complaining about Lea Michele, people who don't like her or whatever. Yeah. And somebody who also is named Alex on Reddit, this was 1 year ago, posted, I went to high school with Alex Strange, who starred alongside Lea as the kids in Ragtime. Freshman year, he was a smug ass who thought he was better than everybody else. By senior year, he chilled out and was nicer. Not sure if due to time away from fame or smoking weed or both. We did Chicago that year, and he got cast as Billy Flynn. He was failing a class, which would have got him kicked out of the show, but I overheard him in the library telling someone he wouldn't get replaced because he's Alex Strange. Well, he got replaced less than 2 weeks to curtain. He was overall a much nicer and more humbled person, though. I wonder if Leah had time away from the spotlight, if she would have chilled out as well, or how much of a diva she would be. Not all famous kids or people on Broadway are mean, obviously, but it seemed to do her personality type no favors to be given so much success and fame at a young age. I also wonder how much of Alex's behavior was influenced by being around Leah as the other kid in the Ragtime cast. I'm sure they had understudies, of course, but I wonder if they rubbed off on each other. LOL.
Oh boy.
I mean,
So-
you said that user's name was Alex.
Yeah.
Alex, we know it's you.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, you know the people who didn't like me in high school? That was Leah Michelle's fault, okay? It wasn't my fault.
Of course.
I
of
had to
course.
have
Never.
thought that.
Yeah.
Never.
So I don't know, but he nowadays is a mixologist, actually like not just like a
course.
bartender, like I guess he's was pretty well known in DC, and he's now like a mixologist at some bar in New York in the
He
East
would
Village.
be a mixologist.
So
And he would like to think that he's really well known.
Ah, there was an article all about him in Eater.
Oh my god.
Was it like this guy's mixing up some strange cocktails?
I know, right? No, it was all about, I guess Eater did a series of mixologists who have a lot of tattoos,
Oh.
explaining how their tattoos influence their
How do you
drinks or
narrow down
something.
that
I don't know.
This
Yeah.
is the recipe for the drinks I do. Yeah.
So,
tattooed on my arm.
eater.com for great journalism. Yeah, so that's the Sean Star check-in, and I was just like, this is a weird one.
Yeah. That's crazy.
So
Yeah. With these like lower level tier kind of like sequels and stuff like that, I imagine it does end up being pretty random.
yeah. Well, the last one had like Will Wheaton and Shannon Doherty, so it was like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. I don't know.
You know.
Crazy.
Well, does anyone have anything else they want to say specifically? Otherwise, we.
Other than we love Don Bluth.
Yeah.
Love Don
Yes,
Bluth.
please.
This movie was produced by these two guys who were put in charge of MGM Animation, and they literally made this and like All Dogs Go to Heaven 2 and like 3 other movies,
Oh my
and then got canned.
Have you guys done all
We haven't done that one.
We haven't
either.
done that one yet.
Okay.
It'd be like the same situation.
What are their names again? Are you looking at the-
Is it Paul Sabella and Jonathan Dern? The
It
producers?
is,
Yeah.
yes. And so then after MGM Animation went dormant, they took off and made their own animation company, which got deals with other various studios to do more crappy animated sequels. So they actually got the deal to do Mulan 2
Oh. Wow.
I
somehow.
remember that one,
And so they
yeah.
did that one, and they did a few other things, and also notably they have worked with Charles Grosvenor, the guy who made like most of the Land Before Times.
Oh, boy.
Not on Land Before Time, but on something else he did before he came to Land Before Time. So I was like, okay, I'm starting to see where this whole industry of animated
It's all the same
sequels
people.
is all connected. Yeah.
I mean, you think about it's all connected either way, because and in fact, I'll have to send it over to you, Justin. I was watching because just from being in like animation circles, and even my job that initially brought me out was working for an animation convention. But like they're just like so much happened because like other people happen to be in the same spaces or could rent out offices. So like Don Bluth's team would be coming in while other people are doing other stuff. There's some really interesting behind the curtain stuff for it's actually this really random documentary on YouTube about the Americanized version that they were trying to release of Sailor Moon.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, if you ever want to deep dive into that, please.
Well, I mean, I used to
me
watch
know.
like the dubbed TV show, but
No,
it was
yeah.
even more Americanized
But
than that.
It is
okay.
because also you have to remember the one that's currently showing right now is not even the American version that we know.
Yeah.
You know, like as young kids that we were
Right,
watching
right,
it.
right.
But like, yeah, no. So that's been redubbed because they lost the licensing out for all
Oh, wow.
for all the score and also all the voices
Right.
for Dick. Is it Dick?
Deke.
Deke.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, in my
It's
head.
close.
Yeah.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of that was intertwined with actually Don Bluth's like company and stuff like that.
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
yeah. So there's a lot of weird, interesting, like intersecting things
That's
that
crazy.
happen.
Yeah.
And then obviously Disney.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I don't know if maybe they were going to try to make this one theatrical at some point, because they did bother to get like Al Jarreau for the ending credits song
Yeah.
as well.
Right.
And
Al
I don't know
Jarreau
who
and Bobby
Bobby
Page.
Page is. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure who
How
that
did
is,
you
but I
guys
know
feel
Al
about
Jarreau.
the ending credits song?
I
It was
mean,
fine. I don't know.
Was it fine?
it's just another big
It
nothing
just
burger.
sounded like all the other, honestly, like
yeah.
all the like. I don't really like any of
It was
the.
like, stop trying to be Peebo Bryson over
I
here.
know.
So only
I was
Peebo
like,
Bryson could be
it was
Peebo
trying
Bryson.
to be like a whole new world or whatever, but I was like, I don't really like any of those pop version-y songs, even in the Disney movies.
Wow, how dare you?
I know.
Peebo Bryson is so.
I don't like
offended.
the old ones. They all kind of sound the same, and that's why I was like, yeah, it sounds like in the vein of those. Yeah,
The Demi Lovato fans are going to come after your ass.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, but well, I mean, I guess we could talk about it. With
It was weird to have
yeah.
a weird romantic duet. That was another. It's just like
Yeah,
another thing.
no,
like,
it was very forced, and I'm just like, when did they fall in love?
Was
Or,
it-
like,
yeah.
I mean, I
Was
guess
it
if
all
it had
about
been
the
in the
love
movie
story?
and there had actually been a scene where they were like flirting, or you could see them having to work
Yeah.
together a little bit longer, like it would have made more sense. But it was just so weird.
They do come from the same background. Like, she obviously, like, she was like, you don't understand, my family's in the lab, and he's like, no.
Yeah,
Like, my
yeah, I
family
actually
was
do.
right there.
Yeah,
But
They
like,
can both read.
it's true.
but it doesn't change the fact that she could read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to have higher standards. You can't just go for someone who can read.
Yeah. There's a lot of mice in the field.
Like I said, I don't think the messaging was the strongest point in this film.
No.
Oh boy, I do have a rating system.
Okay, good. Yeah, because I was like, Tyler's not here.
Okay.
I was gonna be like, do I have to think of one quick?
So yeah, how many days in a row of wearing the same underwear would you give to the
So like,
Secret
how
of
many
Nim?
days in a row would you wear the same underwear? Yeah.
Yeah, as
Okay.
a score of The Secret of Nim 2, Timmy to the Rescue.
I guess like if I had to, I would go 2 days in a row.
You can flip it inside out.
That's about all you could do. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could almost give it a 1, but there was like a couple. Like I give it a bump up from a 1 because of like some of the interesting ideas, like we talked about.
Yeah.
Like coming back on some story threads that were kind of technically ambiguous, I guess. And other than that, like there's nothing else good in here. The movie's mercifully short. Maybe that's a good thing. And yeah, there's a couple just like unintentionally funny things that made me laugh, and that was about
Yeah,
it. I would not recommend this movie.
I was thinking the same exact number of days without underwear, too. Sorry, not without underwear, with the same underwear.
2 days without underwear.
Yeah, 2 days wearing the same pair of underwear is my rating for Secret of Nim 2 as well, because I really reserve ones and zeros for like not even a movie, where whatever the faults are with this, it is a movie.
Yeah.
It has... I do think it had some really like thought-provoking ideas that if, actually like handled in a better way could have been really interesting, because you don't see that story as often of an older sibling that's been passed over like for a more, whatever younger sibling. And just I just wish they had found like a more sensical way to do it, I guess. But I do actually... I'd have to go back and see my ratings for Land Before Times, but I think this is actually worse than every single Land Before Time movie that we ever watched.
Probably.
I
Like,
would vouch for that.
yeah.
I think that the animation was worse on this than
The animation
any of
was
those.
worse
Yeah.
than pretty much anything we've ever seen, and the story and the songs and everything just didn't work. Like Land Before Time, you can say what you will about those songs and their dumb stories, but they all at least kind of usually
Yeah.
make sense within that movie itself. Whereas this was just like all over the place.
I was hoping for some, Brave Little Toaster bangers.
Right.
But
Oh my God.
the songs were all bad.
Yeah, they were all bad,
even
and
funny bad, they were
mostly
bad.
they were talked.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
so it was very annoying to me, and that's why I would give it a 2.
What about you, Nikki?
On principle alone. Like, as someone who deeply loves animation, I was offended.
Yes.
And
Sure.
I'm so sad.
I literally, I'm like teetering on Commando or like
Commando.
You can go 0 days without. You have to change every single day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll give it a 1. I mean, there was something there, and that's what I'll say. there was
You pressed play and there were images.
Yeah, no, it was yeah, I think just because like the stuff that was there was enough that was poorly executed that I was like, yeah, offended. Fortunately.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I think that's going to bring us to the end of our review of Secret of Nimh 2, Timmy to the Rescue.
But an all-timer title for ridiculous sequels.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're like, him? That guy? Timmy?
Him? Yeah. Her?
Yeah. So funny. But Nikki, thanks so much for being here.
Of course. Thank
with
you for
us.
having me.
It was amazing. Some great insight about animation process and stuff. Is there somewhere that people can, follow your work or check out some of the stuff you've been working on lately?
Yeah, I'm on IG. I don't update as often as I should, but I am on there under NIKKINCARRILLO. So Nikki and Carrillo.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we may be done with the Rats of Nimh, but we're not done with talking
experimenting
animals.
on animals. Yeah.
That's right.
No leaping bunnies for us.
No. We got some live action animals coming up here.
Yay.
Next up, we're going to be diving into the Planet of the Apes series. 10 movies for you guys.
Yep, we're going all the way back.
Are you guys doing all the animals this year? Are you
No,
guys
that was a
doing
joke, but now I'm kind of considering it. We'll have to see.
I was gonna ask you guys. There's what is there? Babe. There's Homeward Bound.
Oh yeah, there's
I
lots.
love
There's
Babe.
so many animal movies.
Yeah. So like anything.
Homeward Bound is good too. Yeah.
Literally that comes to mind, I'll text.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, on board for any of these, but also please cover any of these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll be diving into Planet of the Apes, I think, in about a month or so. So you can tune back in for that as we, work our way towards the brand new one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, that's coming out in May. That's what we're doing next. But in the meantime, you can enjoy this. And we, just last week we had 2 episodes actually. Woo. We put out a bonus episode talking through all of the sequels and franchises that are coming out, with new episodes, I guess, this year.
Yeah.
And it was funny. We put it out, and I think literally the next day, the Roadhouse trailer was out because we were talking about how we hadn't seen the Roadhouse trailer yet. It's not out yet.
I mean, did I need to put naked Jake Gyllenhaal in the middle of that image, isolated by himself? No, but I did.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So yeah, that movie's already been making lots of headlines. So we'll have to see how that goes as well.
Some drama and stuff.
If you had any opinion on what we talked about in that bonus episode, or any other ideas that you want to suggest for the upcoming year and beyond, email us sequelrights@gmail.com or reach out on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Sequel Rights.
And please rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, whatever you listen on that lets you rate. Even just, sending us an email or telling your friends, any of that stuff, sending us positive vibes, getting the word out about the podcast would be greatly appreciated. And I guess we'll see you guys back again in about a month here for the original Planet of the Apes. See you then.
What can I do? What have I done? What is there left for me now you are gone?
Why did you have to go? Why only now I know there will be no other one?
All that I could ever hope for,
All that I could ever long for.
so much to say to you, so much to share with you, my life and